Hey, folks, welcome back to another episode of Artist Stories of Middle Georgia. I'm your host, Victor Rigoli, and today on the podcast, I have a local artist, Natalie Bradley. Natalie, thanks for being on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really
All right,
appreciate it.
great. Natalie is a Perry, Georgia based watercolor artist specializing in architectural paintings of meaningful places, including homes, churches, wedding venues, and beloved communities. Drawing from a background in event planning and community development, her work blends a deep love of architecture with storytelling, transforming places that shape our lives into timeless watercolor keepsakes. That's interesting. There's a lot there that we'll probably talk a little bit about. And folks, I also have some examples of her work, and we'll be pulling that into the interview here in just a little while to kind of share with everybody some of your work. And I was really impressed with that. And thank you for sharing that information with me and those
Yeah.
those paintings. So let's get started. Tell us a little bit about who you are and where does your artist story begin?
Well, I'm originally from Oglethorpe, Georgia, and that's Macon County.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know where that is, so I explain it by saying it's halfway between Americus and Perry. And when I was little, my family goes way back there. My mom was, I joke around that I had the only divorced parents in Macon County in the 80s. And she was an interior designer, and she couldn't make enough money as a single mom in rural Georgia. And so we moved to the Atlanta area. So I kind of claim both Oglethorpe and Roswell as my hometowns.
Okay.
And yeah, so I ended up going to the University of Georgia, and
Go dogs. All
that's
right.
right. And I have a degree that I have never used from there. But I was very lost. I didn't know. I'm not one of those people that, said I always want to be an artist. I think I took one art class in Americus when I was 10 or 11. But I come from a long line of creative people, and I'm also a musician. And at one point, I thought about maybe even studying music and becoming a professional musician. Um, I still play the flute, actually, in our church, and
Okay.
different things. But so fine arts has been a very big part of my life. I grew up once we went to the Atlanta area because it was just mom and me. We didn't have any family there at the time. And I would take my little caterpillar sleeping bag with me, and she was doing things like Street of Dreams, and she would have to work until like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just went to sleep in my little sleeping bag, and I just thought that was normal. And so I lived and breathed, that growing up, like
Right.
beauty,
Right.
architecture, homes.
Right.
And I grew up in the church, and those are very formative things with community. And so when I went to University of Georgia, and I was just kind of lost, I stumbled into doing some community service work for a group on campus, and discovered event planning, and realized that was actually a career path. And so I
Mhm.
decided to just get my degree in what I was studying. I was on the Hope Scholarship, and
Okay.
it times out after 120 hours. So
Right.
I just decided to get a lot of experience, and I ended up creating my first business when I was 23 as a wedding planner in Athens. So my husband and we got married very fast after college, and started my business all within 1 year of graduating from UGA. And I did that for a long time. I knew it was going to be a high burnout career, but that was my passion.
Right.
And, so I had my daughter when I was 28, and probably about 15 years into being a wedding planner, I just was done. And
Right.
so I
Ran its
started,
course
that's
and hey,
right.
I'm done with
Uh,
this. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like most creative people, I think I joke around that I'm not a normal adult. I have not,
Who's
you know,
normal? I mean, you know.
exactly. I was like, I've never done just one thing my whole life.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was trying to figure out like what was next for me. I taught other wedding planners how to sell and market to brides for a long time online. And I just was missing the creative side of things and just trying to figure out what to do. And when my daughter was a baby, I just started having this overwhelming like desire to paint. It just honestly came out of nowhere. I just started painting. It was terrible. It was horrible, horrible, horrible art looking back, but that's part of the journey. And it
That's
was
right.
so much fun. I loved
Yeah, yeah,
creating ugly art.
yeah.
and,
Well,
but I mean, it's just part of it. And I think it was 2016. Like I just took a bunch of classes with different artists around
okay, okay.
Athens and
Yeah,
Watkinsville. One of my mom's best friends owns a gallery in Watkinsville, and a lot of artists came and they taught different classes. So
right.
I experimented with styles and mediums, and I hated watercolor the first time I tried it. But for some reason, I don't even remember why I came back to it. And one day I thought I would love to paint my house. I would love
Mhm.
to try that. So I did with watercolors. And again, it looks more like an illustration than like a true watercolor at that
Right.
time. But I put it on Facebook, and I have a really large Facebook community just because of what I've done for so long in so many people's lives. And people said, "Hey, I love that. Would you paint one for me?" And I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but sure."
Right, right.
And so I feel like people kind of paid for me to go to like a piecemealed art school. So I just kept investing in different classes online and in person and just learning along the way. And that's really where it began.
Yeah,
And then that's when I realized, I figured out my style. I figured out that I really did love watercolor. And I mean, it's an ongoing journey. I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly studying, taking classes. And I love places that capture memories and maybe the essence of a person.
right, right.
When we're recording, this is my late father-in-law's birthday, and I painted his home after he passed away for my husband and for my husband's sister. I painted them 2 separate paintings, and that's it right there. That's his house.
Good.
So I mean,
Beautiful.
it's not a mansion. It's not, but it's important, and it's
Right,
home.
right,
And
right,
that's what's important to
right.
me, is capturing something that you can look at and, maybe it makes you teary-eyed sometimes, or it just makes you think of your grandparents, or it makes you think of mom and dad, or your wedding day, whatever that looks like.
Right.
That brings me so much joy. I love
Yeah, I can imagine so. And gosh, you just had so much. My mind was just thinking of so many things.
it.
I need to ask her about this or talk about that. But I had on my podcast recently Suzanne Waller, who is a photographer. Various pretty much a lifetime since I think she said about the age of 9 or so. Having a camera, and of course she was in journalism and worked in TV and all that kind of stuff. And she was talking about just capturing the emotion and
Hmm.
passion and things that are going on. And you could take a picture of that house, but when you get a painting of that house and it's presented to you, it's something a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's more special. It's more personalized. Um, and I really admire you for doing that. And thinking about your journey, and you talked about watercolor. I haven't experimented with watercolor, but I know it's tough, and I, I admire you for circling back to watercolor, and we're going to show some of your work, here
Okay.
shortly. But yeah, that's a tough medium to
It
work with.
is.
It could be very challenging. I mean, there's no white paint in watercolor, right? So,
Yes.
I'm an oil painter, and yeah, you use white for different things, but I just can't imagine what if I didn't have white? what
Yeah.
would it do? And
You have
it's
to
like,
think about it differently.
you really
And
do.
yeah, and you
Yeah.
learn how to paint with that, that
Yeah.
negative space. And
Right. Right.
it's fun. And again, I joke around about, I joke a lot about not being like a normal adult, but I think it's because I'm surrounded by so many people who have taken a very traditional path. And
Right.
so and that's just not my story, and it's not my husband's story. And I'm very creative, but I'm also very type A. And so
Okay. Okay.
I think there's something about watercolor that is maybe therapeutic for somebody like me, that I love, organization and planning, obviously,
Right.
and those kind of things. But there's a lot of very unplanned things that
Right.
happen
Yes.
with
Yes.
watercolor, and you have
That's
to
so
let
true.
go.
Yeah.
And it's,
Yeah.
I just, it's, I'm so much less stressed out when I paint. And my dad is, I was telling you before we started recording,
Right.
he's very sick right now,
Right.
and had a massive heart attack. And I've been painting whenever I'm home. I'm painting a lot, and it's, just trying to preserve my sanity and try and find,
Yeah.
some joy and beauty in a really, really, really hard time. And you remember that too. I think as artists, when you go back and you see things you've painted over the years, you remember those moments in time for yourself, not just of the subject matter, but what you were going through. So there's a lot of tears mixed into my
Well,
paintings these
yeah.
days.
Yeah.
So
I can
some
understand.
natural water.
Yeah. And it's very therapeutic. I mean, there's a lot of artists that I talk to talk about that,
Yeah.
and I won't say it's an escape. Sometimes it might feel like an escape. I mean, I'll come up to the studio, and I'm retired, and I've been painting this month. It'll be 6 years, and so my wife still works. But when I come up here, it's a different world.
Yeah.
It's a different environment. I have a dedicated space. Not every artist has a dedicated space,
Mm-hmm.
so they're a little corner in an extra bedroom or the kitchen and that kind of thing. And I'm just fortunate that I have my dedicated space, and it's almost like the man cave or the she shed, or it's my art studio, and it's dedicated to that. Are you full time artist? Or are you part time? Or are you just
No, I'm not yet.
okay?
I
That's a
actually,
goal that you have to be
yeah,
full
it's one
time.
of those
Yeah.
things that
Okay.
I decided to, I got so burned out being a business owner. I'm still obviously a business owner. I probably could go full time if I wanted to.
Right.
It just, the time does not feel
It's just
right.
not right yet. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
doing, I wanted to do something that gave back, and I kind of fell into the world of community development and I actually moved back to Oglethorpe first in 2018 to help revitalize my hometown and help look after my grandmother. She passed away in 2020, and we ended up renovating her home and doing some things. And then my family was, they said, can we please move to Perry? They missed
Right.
being in like a bustling environment that was
Right.
like Athens, even though it's a lot smaller. But I work for Flint Energies, which is our local EMC, and I do
Right.
community development work, and
Oh,
which
great.
is, I actually do a lot of really creative things, including hosting and producing our podcast that we
Okay.
just launched a couple years ago, which is why I have my Princess Leia
All right.
headphones.
Yeah.
But
Great.
I
Wow.
actually, yeah, I get to do a lot of artistic expression even through my job, which does not sound like you would working for like a power company, but we do a lot of work with trying to beautify and revitalize areas, including like public art installations and giving grants for rural murals and things like that to really help bring art to the masses. And it's very rewarding. So I feel like I'll know like when that is coming to an end, then I'm gonna jump into art full time. And my daughter's in college right now,
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm like,
Okay.
I feel like I need to kind of get her launched and
Right. Right.
and off the payroll, so to speak,
I hear you.
and
Yeah.
I'll feel a little bit better.
I certainly understand. We're finally empty nesters, and I do have the youngest still at UGA, and he graduates sometime this year, I think. I hope. But anyway, the others are out of the nest and everything, and so yeah, I am I full time? Yeah, I guess you could say I'm full time, even though I do get retirement benefits from the previous employer and all this kind of stuff. But I do sell a lot of paintings, and I've had some people reach out to me to commission some pieces,
Mhm.
and but you've sold some paintings, right? And so you haven't gone, well, we'll say full time yet,
Right.
but how what's worked for you as far as how do people, or is it through a website or
Mhm.
Facebook or social media, that kind of thing? Is that where you find more success in selling some of your work?
Yeah, so I probably, again, I don't have maybe what you would consider like a traditional art business setup, and maybe it's
Right,
because I
right,
have a different background than a lot of
right,
artists,
right.
but I and also because I have a full-time job in addition, I take a lot of commissions, but I can only take as many as I can take. And so
That's right. That's right.
right.
Got to manage
So
your time because you have the full
yes.
time job and other things going
That's
on.
right. So, I mean, at this point, since about 2016, I have, gosh, that's 10 years ago now. I have taken hundreds of commissions. I've done those over the years, but I sell mostly prints. So I do have
Okay.
a
Yeah.
website
Okay.
it's just my name, nataliebradley.com.
Okay.
And I
And
kept
I
that
think you
from,
sent that information
yes,
to me, and we're going to
yes.
include it, folks, into the show notes so that you can reach
Thank you.
out to Natalie for more
So,
info.
it's the same website I had when I was a wedding planner, so I
Okay.
just kept it and morphed it into a new business,
Right. Right.
um, and I do have a very, robust, social media community. Most of my people seem to be on Facebook, although, Instagram is growing, and I do sell at several, markets.
Okay.
Mistletoe Market in Perry is a huge
Okay.
one for me,
Okay.
and I've done, there's a lot of word of mouth. I did, after I moved back to the area, in 2021 and 2022, I did the Cherry Blossom Festival artwork for the pins, and then last year, 2025, I was the Dogwood Festival artist in Perry. So I've done different things like that. Walmart commissioned me to do an indoor mural. It was actually a public art installation company that contacted me. They found me through Instagram,
Great.
and it was really random. I thought it was spam at first, and I kept
Right. Right.
getting
Was that the one
emails.
in Perry, down in Perry,
No,
or where's that at?
no, it's strange how they match you. They don't go according to where you
Where
live,
you
which
live?
doesn't
Really?
make any sense.
Oh, yeah.
But the one that I did is actually in Stockbridge on
Oh,
Hudson
wow.
Bridge Road. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like right next to the interstate. And if you go in on the market side, market entrance,
Right.
you'll see it looks like a giant watercolor on the wall. That's exactly
Okay.
what it is. So, and they give you some guidelines of what they're looking
Right.
for.
Right.
So,
Right.
so some things like that. And then the Visit Perry office, when they saw that I did that one for Walmart, they commissioned me to do an indoor mural for their office inside of City Hall. So just some really cool opportunities that have come my way.
Right.
Just
Right. Sounds like it. Yeah. That's
yeah,
wonderful.
mostly word of mouth and social media, I would say. But and I do have a newsletter. If you want to sign up on my website, it's the best way to find out about new artwork that I'm creating. I've got a lot of requests, like from Mercer and different wedding venues I'm working on throughout Middle Georgia. I'm trying to get a lot of things done before the Dogwood Festival in April. So,
Right. Right.
yeah.
That's awesome. Do you do any live events? Anything like that?
I have not
Okay.
yet,
Just
which is
curious.
so funny
Yeah.
because when I was a wedding planner before that was like a trend.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to fly in artists from like Los Angeles to do live event painting, like in oil
Right.
for my brides and grooms because we couldn't find anybody local that wasn't
Right.
terrified to do it.
Right.
And
Right.
so it's so cool to me now to see that. And I'm like, gosh, we were like way ahead of the times.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I
It's
think one
becoming
day it will be
popular.
neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's the way that I paint, I do enjoy urban sketching. And so I'm trying to train my brain that way, but I've painted from photographs for so long, and that's so different. Plein air painting or
Right.
urban sketching, something like that. It's just so different.
It
And
is. Yeah.
I do not enjoy painting people at this point in my life.
Okay.
Maybe that will
Okay.
change one day. I love
Yeah.
those straight lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we shall see. I don't know. We'll see what.
Well, there's different avenues to go down,
Yeah.
and that's the key, I think, too, is folks that are watching and listening, and other artists will attest to this. Is you, it's amazing how you develop over time, and
Hmm.
like you said, well, hey, I I'm a landscape kind of guy. I mean, I like the marshes of South Georgia and the coast, and different landscapes and stuff like that. And I do some golf courses and stuff. And eventually, I'd like to do some portrait painting. I'm taking a class up in Forsyth in February, a
Oh,
beginner,
okay.
oil painting portrait class at a studio up there. So I'm looking forward to that. But you kind of have to keep your options open,
Yeah.
and then too, as you get into being a full time artist, what are the different revenue streams that might be out there? So it's like, okay, you've got prints that you do, things like that. Um, I can imagine it might be a little harder to do live event with watercolor per se,
Yeah.
but oil and acrylic is going to be a little different. And that's something that I thought about getting into down the road is, hey, doing weddings and then
Yeah.
starting it and then, finishing up in the studio and that kind of thing. But yeah, this has been great. Um, are there any artists that you draw some inspiration from that you maybe have taken some classes from that you just have learned so much and maybe you go back to maybe their style or their technique or something like that? And
Gosh, the funny thing is most of the artists that I've taken classes from, their style is
so
so
different.
different
Yeah.
from
Okay.
mine.
Yeah.
So I mean, my style isn't like their. I think it was for me. I didn't even have like the fundamentals. So I learned a lot of that along the way from them, and taking different classes even on like Skillshare, and what was it? It just closed a couple years ago, like Renaissance Art, something like that.
Oh, did it? Okay.
They had some really great classes, which that tore me up when when that closed because
Oh,
that was
yeah.
wonderful.
Wow. Okay.
And then I've enjoyed uh, taking some local classes from on urban sketching in
Hmm.
particular. You can go to Art by Carrie, Kari, Carrie Waltz. She's in the Macon area, and
Yeah, I think I'm friends with her on the Facebook page,
she's
Art
great.
Stores Middle Georgia. Yeah, I'd like to get her on the podcast.
Oh, she
So,
would be
Karen, if
wonderful.
you're out there,
Yeah.
hit me up. I'm going to get you on the podcast. So, yeah,
So, and she's become a friend, but
yeah,
she kind of helped me unlock, again, getting loose with
right.
urban sketching. She loves urban sketching and creating those sketchbooks and memory books and things like that. That's become like her passion. But, there's not one in particular. I love so much art. And I feel like I draw inspiration from honestly, like, everybody that I come across. I can appreciate, even though I don't enjoy painting people. I love portraiture. I
Hmm.
love
Hmm.
and I watch these shows like constantly on YouTube, like what is it, like landscape artist of the year and
Yeah,
portrait
Portrait
artist of the
Artist
year
of the Year. I've seen those too. Yeah,
from
I love
like
it.
Great
Yeah,
Britain. And I
yeah,
mean, I love those
I do
shows, and
too. I do
it's
too.
amazing what you can learn just by watching somebody else's brushstrokes and how
Exactly.
they study. And honestly, that's what I do. I feel like I watch. I'm a very good observer, and I am
Okay.
fascinated by people and their craft. And I think that's just what I do, Victor. I don't know.
Yeah.
I study other people's art all the time. I'll see things on Instagram, and um, like I'm trying to think of some. Amanda Roberson is an artist that's, I think she's in Alabama. Maybe it's somebody that I stumbled across on Instagram. I love her style. It's a lot
Right.
looser than mine with
Right.
watercolor, but I like seeing how she approaches things, and I think like somebody like her, for example, encourages me to again keep loosening up. Like that's, I feel like that's my mantra, is like loosen up, relax, let go of that type A. It's like, as much as I love the straight lines, I'm learning more and more with architecture to let go of the straight lines.
Right.
So you'll see
Right.
the evolution in my work if you scroll way back. It's becoming a little bit more impressionist,
Gotcha.
You can see those touches. And I will say the biggest influence on my life would be Phoebe Devon. I have an original, well, I have a print, but we have original paintings of like my grandmother's home in Oglethorpe. And Miss Phoebe, she was local to the area, but she was an amazing watercolor artist. She did some other mediums as well, but she was well known through the New Perry Hotel. She did a lot of work there, and a lot of her pieces, I think, were for sale in their gift shop for a long time. But she's very impressionist style, and I love looking at any of her paintings. It brings me a lot of joy. So
That's good.
yeah.
That's good. You hit on some things there that about loosening up your brushstrokes and that kind of thing, and I'm kind of there to a certain degree because I'm not a photorealistic artist, and because I know there's some out there that I've followed in the past, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's just like a photo.
Yeah.
And then you've got those that are so very impressionistic and they're very loose. And I want to be kind of somewhere in between.
Yeah, me too.
I want to leave a little bit to your imagination and says, well, yeah, that's a tree. It doesn't have to be every leaf on the tree, but it's the shape of the tree and it has some colors and things like that. So I'm with you on that, trying to loosen up a little bit my painting, and that can be a challenge for us sometimes, because sometimes we get in this comfort zone, and now you got to step out of that and experiment a little bit. But the thing I'm hearing, and one of the things I've shared in other podcast interviews is my mantra is be green and growing. That means you're always alert, always stretching, trying something different. I've tried some acrylic pouring in the past, experimented with that. I even had a leaf blower out, blowing them around and all this stuff, And then I gave those paintings away, and as a result, somebody bought a couple of my other paintings, and it's like, well, gosh, I've experimented with different things, and we'll continue to do that. So I appreciate you sharing that. And one of the things too, I wanted to ask you about community. Do you have any artist groups or artist societies or groups that you're members of that you kind of are able to meet with other artists and talk about art and your art?
So I've started when I'm able to go to the New Perry Arts Council. It's fairly new. I think we started maybe in the summer. I have not been able to attend very many
just
of
this
those.
Past year in 25?
Yeah. I think they used to have one like years ago, and it kind of fell apart. And there's a lot of artists and creators in the area, and they just decided to come together and get that going. And then after I took a class with Carrie last summer at I can't, whatever, is it the 567 yeah, the place in downtown Macon.
Downtown Macon.
Yeah, I took a class with her there, and then a group of us from that class have gotten together a couple of times to paint. So I've met, friends from those areas. And then also, interestingly enough, the vice president of my department at Flint Energies is also an artist, Marion McLemore. Yeah, so we get together and we paint and we do things together. So I think that helps a lot. And I really enjoy that. It's hard for me to get to Macon a lot. There's a lot that's going on in Macon, but it's only 30 minutes away. But once you factor in, getting off work and doing all the things that you have to do, it can be difficult to get there for some of the events. So I'm excited that Perry has got a group that's starting. Yeah.
And I'll have to offline here, but chat with you a little bit about that Perry group and maybe some more information. But there's also the Fine Arts Society of Middle Georgia that's in Warner Robins, and I'm a member of that. And we've got some things going, and we're really trying to revitalize that group and focusing on the fine art and letting Warner Robins and Perry know that, hey, you don't have to go to Atlanta or Savannah to buy your art. There's talented people here. There's an art event that's coming up later this year. I'm just going to go ahead and put a plug in, although I will do one or two podcasts on it as we get a little closer. But at Rigby's Entertainment Center, they have a conference center over there.
Oh, yes.
And Gracie Rigby, who's over the conference center, has allowed the artists of Fine Arts Society of Middle Georgia to hang their artwork in the long hallway that leads into where the conference center is, and that's been
Oh, that's great.
something that we've been able to do. But this August, she is sponsoring a kind of an art market exhibition sale, and it's on the same level, pretty much as the Atlanta um, art fair that they have at the Pullman Yard, where
Oh, yeah.
galleries and other artists come in and show their work and sell their work and that kind of thing. So there's some things that are cooking and brewing in the Warner Robins area.
That's good to
That,
know. Yes.
but
I'm in that group, but I have not done anything with
yeah,
that
yeah. I'll
yet.
send you
So,
some information
oh,
as
please
we
do.
get it. I'll email it to you
Okay.
so you're aware if you want to come and participate in that. But I think it's key to have that community of artists
Absolutely.
that you can sit down with and talk to and just bounce ideas off of and just learn from, because we have to surround ourselves with people that are smarter and better than we are, because that's
Yes.
the way we grow and learn, right? So
100%.
yeah, yeah, that's cool. Um, are there any? Do you have any shows or exhibitions coming up? I mean, we've talked a little bit about that, but do you show your work, or do you go to different markets and things like that?
I have at the Making Arts Alliance. I've done participated in a couple of those shows. I have not seen anything yet that has come across that I've like formally
Right,
applied for.
right.
I did put some pieces into the National Fairgrounds exhibit for the first time this
Okay,
year. So I do different things like that throughout the year, and I'll let my collectors and clients know on my email list and in my social media communities. And I'm always kind of dipping my toe into different things to figure out what I want to do. This past year, I participated in so many markets. Honestly, it was too much.
right, right.
So I feel like I'm pulling back a little bit. I've done even things like Christmas Made in the South. Apparently, it used to be amazing, went downhill for a while, and it's doing really well again.
Okay,
So
okay.
I didn't have any experience with it before when it wasn't great. So I've participated in that for 2 years. I don't think I'm going to go back this year just because it's so much back to back leading into
Right,
Christmas.
right.
That mistletoe market is huge for me. It's always the weekend before Thanksgiving. And I, I'm very selective. I've had a lot of people reach out and ask me to participate in different things. And I've become very selective in what I participate in because my time
Right.
is the most important thing, I feel like, at this point, even though I'm, building the business still. Um, so, I'm a little bit funny about what I'll agree to and not agree to. I don't enjoy outdoor shows because they can be so volatile. And so I'm a little funny about what I choose to do. So I do
No,
also,
I don't blame you at all. You have
yeah,
to. You
you
have
have
to.
to.
You really do.
And especially with with watercolor, like it can't get wet.
That,
So,
yeah, yeah,
even prints, like they're ruined,
that's
even though
right.
I've got them in protective sleeves.
Right.
Like that
Any
just makes me
moisture, that
nervous.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, yeah.
So, I also participate in, I think home decor shows do very well for me because of the type of art that I do. I think that a lot of artists, again, going back to like, I've got a strong business background. I think a lot of artists get stuck in only doing art shows. And they're so, once you know where your target market lives, works, plays, hangs out, go there and get in front of them. And that's what I do. So I do a lot of non-traditional ways of getting in front of people. So boutiques throughout Georgia carry my work. And I'm trying to get into a Perry boutique. I've sold it to several, but I'm just trying to figure out which avenue to go to. So I'll probably be reaching out to a few boutiques to see if they want to carry some things. So I have
Good.
wholesale options, for people. I do have, I call them art cards, but they're folded greeting cards. They're blank on the inside, but it's got
Right.
pieces of art.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's 5x7. So I get a
Right.
lot of messages from people because it has my information on the back. where they say that they've received one of my cards or something along those lines, and then they frame it afterwards, which makes me really happy.
Awesome. That's
So,
great. Yeah. Great.
and Lake Oconee area, Athens area, there's several boutiques around those towns that carry my work. Forsyth Antiques, you'll find my things in one of the booths there, and different places sprinkled throughout the state. I have different areas that pop up here and there, and so one of the things that I am considering is maybe licensing some of my work. I do a lot of weddings, and I will sell digital licenses for my artwork so that they can include them in their invitation suites or wedding maps, welcome bags, things like that. That's I lived that for so long, and I've got a lot of really good relationships with different wedding planners throughout the state, and so I've partnered with a lot of those people. So I go through very non-traditional ways of getting in front of my people, and so I feel like I'm kind of maybe slower at getting in on the traditional art gallery, art market side of things. But
here, listening to you, and you're talking about you're not full time, but yet you have your toes and fingers in a lot of things that a lot of artists aren't there yet.
Yeah.
And while you do have a social media presence, you've kind of gone beyond that. I mean, you might be using that some, but yet you're in trying to get in different shops and things like that. And folks that are listening out there, and any artists that are listening out there, and you're trying to get out there, take note of some of the things that Natalie's done, because I'm impressed, to be honest with you. I don't know. I mean, because when you think about it, when you have your art business, or you're an artist and you want to have your business, you got to spend, and I've read some things, about 20% of your time on your business,
yes.
Whether it's a website, social media, posting things, meeting face to face with store owners and boutiques and things like that. Because really, I mean, you're doing it, girl. I mean, because you think, oh, I'm not in a gallery. I don't know that you need to be, because you've got other things going on. And as we all know, it's not always the best route for some artists. Oh, I'm in a gallery. Well, guess what? How many people are coming through that gallery, and how often is the gallery open? And if you're in there with a bunch of other artists, they're not just promoting you, they're promoting everybody that's in there.
Right.
Nothing wrong with galleries. Don't get me wrong, gallery owners and others that might be watching
that's
this.
Right.
But there are other avenues and revenue streams, and I think you're hitting on a lot of those, which is great.
And I've sold, pieces in different galleries, and my gosh, I did the little happy dance when that happens. But my art doesn't sell. My originals don't sell for $1,500 or more.
Right.
However, one print, I can make thousands of dollars off of one print in many cases. So, I've partnered with different colleges and created artwork for them for like their Day of Giving or foundation thank you gifts or whatever that looks like. And that's been a lot of fun. I think I sent you Georgia Southwestern. I think that's one of the pieces of art that I sent you to share. And that's a great example of that, when I worked with their foundation and created a custom piece of art for them. And I said, hey, can I sell this after we're all said and done as a print? So different things like that. And I've created one for University of Georgia Southern. I'm working on a lot of other ones, but I feel like that's kind of been, again, because of my business background, and I've taught online marketing for a long time, and I'm debating about teaching that to artists when I decide to go full time. I just don't know if I want to get back into that or not. But I really feel like for us to be full time and not riding that wave of ups and downs and extremes, extreme highs and lows, you've got to have that passive income and that leveraged income, and you've got to have those income streams that are coming through different channels, so that you're not in that feast or famine all the time. And, sometimes when you're going through hard seasons, like, I am right now,
you've got a lot going on in your personal life.
Like you create a lot, and sometimes you can't create. It just depends. It's weird how it hits you.
It does.
And so you've got to be prepared for that and not stress yourself out so much thinking, hey, I got to make this much money to pay my bills.
Well, you talked a little bit about print on demand
Mhm.
services that are out there, and I think those that are just starting to that may be watching this that are saying, okay, exploring, how can that's another revenue stream because I call it residual income. I mean, it's this people buy your artwork while you're in bed at sleep that
That's
night.
right. Yeah.
Somebody in California or around the world
Yes.
has, bought a print. And it's like, okay, if I could sell this one painting and make, $400 off of it, or I could sell this, print and, I got made $10 off of it and I sold 40 of them. Guess what?
That's right.
And I still have the original art.
That's right.
And that would just
and you could also sell that.
exactly. So perpetuation of that. So
Yeah.
I'm going to bring in your art. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to add this to
Thank
the
you.
stage here so we can talk a little bit about
Yeah.
this. Okay. Hopefully I can get some of this stuff.
So
let's talk about this one here.
Yeah. I call these community watercolors. So what I'll do every once in a while, so with Macon, I post on my business Facebook page and Instagram. It's Natalie Bradley Home is the name of my company, and I'll put on there, hey, I'm about to paint a Macon community watercolor. What do you want to see? And I have the people that live there or want to buy something that represents there, tell me what they want to see. And so I only include the most popular things because I can't include everything.
Right.
And and it's my interpretation of it. So, it's got a sampling of like Wesleyan College, Mercer, historic churches and landmarks in and around town, and of course cherry blossoms everywhere. So yeah.
How big is that piece?
11 by 14.
11 by 14.
Yeah, okay. I try and do standard sizes that are easy to frame.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
this was an interesting piece. When I saw it, I thought, wow, that is so cool.
So I did this one several years ago. This is the Grand Magnolia House in Marshallville. So this is a wedding venue. And this was commissioned by the wedding venue. They wanted to have something in their historic home to be able to hang, but also I've created note cards for them and different things like that along the way. I also took this, the original art that once I scanned it and made it a digital version, they wanted a Christmas version. So they sent me a picture of it, dressed up for Christmas. And I had to really get my thinking hat on. And I was like, how am I going to do this? Because they were like, you don't need to start over.
Enough for this home or house or venue, right?
That's right. Yeah. So
not a Clark Griswold Christmas vacation home, but
I had to get a little creative with how we did that. So we did a Christmas version, and then I asked them for permission to sell prints, and and they also offer it to their wedding clients. So we came up with an agreement that would work for everybody. So again, wedding venues, I love them, and it's a historic home. So two of my loves in one. So, and this one's I think it's 12 by 18.
Okay.
First Presbyterian Church, downtown Macon. That one I sold the original through the Macon Arts Alliance Gallery last January, February, somewhere early in the year. So that was the very first piece I've ever sold in a traditional gallery.
Okay.
But I've also,
congratulations. Awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. I've sold several prints of this one, as well as I've made ornaments out of it, and I sell those at markets and on my website.
Have you reached out to the church and let them know that? Because I believe, don't they have a little bookstore there?
They may. I have not.
I think they did it one time, but because they used to work downtown.
Okay.
And many years ago, and I thought they had a little bookstore.
I have not reached out to that church. I should. A lot of churches, what I will do is I will give them permission to use the digital version at no cost to them. So a lot of times they'll use it in their program.
Right.
It's a good trade-off too, because it has my signature on it, and so they can see. And then I just ask
Getting your
them.
name out there,
Yep. I
people.
just ask them to share with their
Yeah,
congregation
that's
that,
right.
they can buy prints or note cards or ornaments through me.
Yeah.
And then what I normally do is I send an offering to the church at the end of the year that has a percentage of the sales from that church, and I just return it to them.
That's very generous, and I admire you for doing that. Yeah, that's great.
I love churches.
Yeah. Well, downtown Macon, I mean, the
Oh my
previous
gosh.
slide, two
Yes.
slides ago, when you had the one of all the, I mean, the different, I went downtown sometime last spring, I think it was. I don't know. But anyway, I was down there and I went to take some pictures and I was thinking about doing something similar to this painting here of the steeples. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And I think it was around the city hall up in that block close to a hospital. There were like 3 or 4 churches like right there together.
Yeah.
I mean even like St. Joseph's and the Baptist church are
Mhm.
just, you know, you throw
Right
a rock
next to each other.
out
Yes.
the window. Yeah. I mean it's like right there across the street. But they're just all over and beautiful, beautiful.
They're
buildings.
just, yeah, they're
Beautiful.
showstoppers. And even
Yeah.
in the, it's the historic African American neighborhood. I can't remember the name of the church. It's a giant African American church. And it says, like, I love reading the history of these churches. It says that that church was constructed in the late 1860s. And I just start putting that in the context of history. And I'm like, how, just think about the amount of money that was in Macon, but also with, they're former slaves. My cat is
Yeah.
walking behind me.
That's fine. Not a problem.
That's Athena. And it blows my mind,
Yeah.
that could even exist, and it's extraordinary. So I love it. And I love thinking about the stories and the history and the marriages and the baptisms and the funerals and all these rites of passages, for all these different people that have gone through these doors in these sanctuaries. And I just love it. I love it so much.
You're so talented and you're able to capture that, in a piece of art, not just a
Thank
photo,
you.
but a piece of art in watercolor. It's just amazing.
Thank you so much.
This is the last one here.
Mhm.
Let's talk a little bit about this building here.
So this is Connor Hall at University of Georgia. This is the Ag college building, and this was commissioned for Christmas actually this year. And it's actually for a family that I know, and I know them personally, and the mom had contacted me, and her daughter took a picture and sent it to me, and asked me to paint this. Her daughter just graduated from there in May, and it was just so much fun to paint. So you can see the progression, even just in the pictures that you've shown. Most of those were done years ago, and this one was recent. So you can see that I'm getting a little bit looser as I go and learning how to do reflections a little bit better and depth, and just playing around with that. And always color theory. It's nonstop learning. And I've enjoyed that. So, and it's so funny when my clients reach out to me and they commission a piece, they say, now you can sell this print in your shop. And I'm like, okay. I mean, they're just like the sweetest, most generous people, because I would not normally do that. Or at least I ask if it's something, because some people don't want you to, and I totally respect that. And sometimes, I'll just repaint it and do a version that's for my website, and those markets. But most of them will volunteer before I even ask.
That's great. Yeah,
I know. So it's kind of neat. So, and I have this obsession with paper and ribbon. And so there's this weird part of me that.
Yeah, I think I saw that on your Facebook page.
I don't know.
Like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm very tactile, and I was obsessed with Martha Stewart for most of my, I don't know why, for most of my teen years. And I really want to create like wrapping paper. And I don't know, I thought it would be kind of neat to do like some sheets that are like the churches, the historic churches of Perry, the historic churches of Macon. Just, I don't know. Or maybe church specific. I'm trying to figure out what that looks like, or But then they could buy like a sheet, and maybe it's something for a Bible study group, or I don't know, your pastor, or just something neat. I'm working on some like Bible study tote bags because I have all these church paintings. And so I'm starting to create different products that are, it's the same artwork, but I'm coming up with different ways to use them because people are asking. So I feel like a lot of my customer base, they're doing my research for me, which is really helpful. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. I know there are some print on demand services that provide that, because I use like Fine Art America, I think, and you can go out and I'll look, and then all of a sudden it says, oh, I could put my painting on a mug or a pillow or a throw blanket thing, or
it's just,
a shower curtain, or whatever.
Be careful with a lot of them because your profit margin can be like
it
50
is small.
cents.
Yeah,
so
it can be small.
So I'm really selective about which ones I choose. I try and use local businesses as much as possible. So I have local printers that do all of my printing. And
I have to talk to you offline about that.
Yeah,
but,
it's just, it's been a process because you have to get the colors right, and sometimes they're not. But once you create those relationships, if something comes out and it's not right, then you can, say, hey, this isn't quite right. It's a little too blue. And sometimes the printing settings, they're just off, and that can happen.
They are. They can. That happens.
Yeah.
I've had that happen recently. With a print on demand, it's like nothing like the photo, and the customer was very disappointed. It's like, hey, sorry.
Yeah.
You can get your money back if you want to.
That's right. It can be really frustrating. So that's why I do like using the local options. And
I'm taking notes, folks, because there's things I want to ask Natalie after this.
Oh my gosh.
I've got my notepad out.
You're so sweet.
Yeah.
But also like canvastry.com. That's one that I think I'm going to use for some totes, at least to start with, because they've got wholesale options. So I like the wholesale options better than I like the print on demand traditional setup, because there is a better profit margin. Because if I'm going to do it, I'm going to order X number, and I'm going to sell them on my website, and
almost like a limited series. I got 25 prints, exactly, whatever.
And if they do really, really well, I can say, okay, I'm sold out for now, but I can do another run later. So and a lot of it's just been trial and error. I've made some very expensive mistakes along the way. And I think that's what's been helpful. I think that's why I haven't rushed going into it full time. It's been helpful to be able to have the freedom to screw up and not worry about the finances as much as I would have if it was full time. So, it's a fun journey. Even when you screw up, it can be very frustrating in the moment, but looking back, it's always enjoyable to see how far you've come. And it's more rewarding, I think, a lot of times when it's harder. If it comes super easy, I tend to get bored.
Right.
I like the challenges.
Man, I tell you, I got a couple questions here I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
Just looking at some of my notes here. Looking back, what would you think are 3 quality skills or areas of knowledge that were most important in your journey, as an artist?
Curiosity, being willing to fail.
Love it.
Because you're going to do that a lot. And I think bridging the gap between creative expression and balancing that with business and making good choices. If I was just a hobbyist, I think I would approach it totally differently, and that's fine too. All of it's fine. So, but it does influence your decision making.
Yeah, it does. All right, here's one for you. What advice do you have for folks who are early in their journey in terms of how they can best develop or improve?
So some of the best advice that I got early on was actually from Athens artist Kathy Coussart. And she said, paint every day, create every day, draw every day, something every
Good.
single day.
Yes. Yeah.
And when I had contacted her, I was so frustrated because I so desperately could see what I wanted to create in my mind, and I
Mhm.
could not get it on the canvas at that time. I was doing acrylic and experimenting with oil, and she said, "You're so good at drawing. Keep drawing and keep just stretching those muscles, working them out, figure it out, and it will come. I promise you it will come." And, she was so right. It's the best advice that I can give is just over and over and over again. And when you think you've done it enough, you haven't. I still try and do something every single day. And I can tell when I walk away from it for a little while because it's like that muscle doesn't get worked and you lose some things and you have to
That's right.
remind
That's right.
yourself.
Yeah.
And so that repetition is just huge. And the
It's
funny thing
key.
is creativity comes through the repetition. So you think
Right.
it's going to be boring. It's not.
No.
So,
Yeah.
and you don't have to share the crappy art with anybody if you don't want to.
Well, a couple of things. Well, one in particular that came to mind is you think about it, and I think this is what holds some people back. Two things: the fear of the negative feedback,
Mm-hmm.
because we can be our worst critic,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Oh, that piece sucks. I hate it, whatever. And we're fearful of hearing some feedback, okay?
Yeah.
Because we think it's going to be negative feedback, and sometimes it might be, but that's okay
Yeah.
because, it's just like being at a art gallery and you're standing in the background and you're listening to people talk about your art. It
Yeah.
might be tough, it
Yeah.
might be tough, but you gotta hear that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's very vulnerable. It's different from anything I've ever
yeah,
experienced,
yeah,
except maybe playing music. But it's different because you're putting your heart and soul out there for everyone to see. And that's
right,
what's so hard.
right, right. And I think that's a difference between those that are serious about being an artist and those that are hobbyists.
Yeah.
Because if you're serious, you're going to do it every day,
Yeah.
something. And
Yeah.
I've been trying to work on a practice here, and I've got it all. And I'm kind of the A type too. I'm very structured. When
Yeah.
I was working at Geico, we went through a colors class, and I was gold because you're structured and organized and goals and all this kind of stuff. It's
Yes.
like, and I still do it.
Yeah.
But at 7 o'clock, from 7 to 8 in the morning, is my drawing sketching time. So it
Mm-hmm.
pops up on my calendar to remind, stop what you're doing, and focus on that too. Because I used to be pretty good at drawing years and
Mm-hmm.
years ago. But you're right. I went for about a 40-year hiatus and didn't do anything artistically. And then because of COVID and all that kind of stuff, back in 2020 is when I got started again. But yeah, you kind of know how to ride the bike, but you're rusty, and
Yeah.
you got to keep going. You got to exercise that muscle, and so I just encourage people, like you said, do something every day,
Every
and you'll
day.
see the improvement. And but
Yes.
one of the things I was going to say too is that every piece of art you create is not going to be the home run. It's
Mm-mm.
not going to be the masterpiece. It might be 1 in 10. It might be 1 in 20.
Yes.
And I was listening to a podcast recently, and I'm reading a book too. And they were talking about how you see works of art from, say, like Monet or Van Gogh in these wonderful pieces. But what about all those that went in the trash can?
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't see all those.
Right.
Hundreds, maybe thousands of those.
Yeah.
But you just got to keep producing and keep
Yes.
producing. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I've got any other advice that you want to share? Because I got some rapid fire questions here toward the end I want to throw at you real quick. So,
I think we've covered most everything. I think the biggest
okay.
thing is just keep stepping through your fears over and
Yeah.
over and over again.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
biggest piece of advice I can give anybody.
And folks, follow her example of putting yourself out there as an artist. And as introverts, sometimes artists are, it's hard to put yourself out
Yeah.
there. But you just got to go walk up to that gallery, walk up to that boutique, walk up to whatever, and put yourself out there. And
Yeah.
you'll be surprised.
I
Yeah,
still
come
give
on in.
myself a pep talk every single time before I make a phone call or I show
Yeah,
up.
you can
And
do it.
I tell myself, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? They say no.
you got to go through.
It's okay.
You're going to hear more no's than you're going to hear yeses, folks.
I've had a lot of no's.
Yeah, it's going to be no. But when you get that yes, woo, wow.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, ask any person that's a professional salesperson, man, woman, or whatever. They have to go through all the no's to get to that
That's
yes.
right.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Okay.
What's your favorite holiday and why?
Christmas. All the family, the memories being made. It's the whole essence of it. The peace, the hope, the joy.
Yeah. Good. All right. If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Oh gosh. Scatter joy.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's
I don't
good.
know. I love making people happy. Chronic people pleaser.
Okay. I've heard people talk about like a fly. That's a cool one.
Yeah.
I'd like to do time travel.
That would maybe be cool. It also kind of scares me a little bit.
A little bit.
Because I'm like, it seems cool, but I've never been there in real life. So what if it's terrific and I can't get out? I start overthinking weird things.
All right. What's your favorite color?
Oh, it changes a lot. Right now, it's blues and greens. I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like I'm cheating on the other colors when I choose one.
All right. Last question. Describe your dream art studio.
Oh gosh. Quiet, maybe the backyard. Really good music in the background that's a little too loud. And it can be messy when I'm creating, and I can, sling the doors open. I love gardening, so it would have to be right next to a gorgeous garden.
Okay.
And I don't want a big space. I'm very into cozy cottage type spaces. And I like being tight and close. I've had big houses and I didn't like it.
Okay. That's interesting. I've had a lot of people say, I want this big studio, a lot of windows, open space.
I like the windows and the light, but I do not want a lot of space. Yeah.
I think about mine and lots of times I'll say, I want this big space, but my wife would tell you don't need a big space. You just don't fill it up with a bunch of junk,
That's exactly,
too many art supplies, Well, Natalie, I tell you what, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast today and just learning so much about you as an individual, but you as an artist, and hearing your artist story and your journey and the things that you've been able to accomplish. And you sound like a professional, full-time, this is my career artist, and I commend you for all the things that you've been able to do thus far in your life and your journey and everything. And thanks for sharing it today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a joy. And thanks everybody for tuning in to this episode of Artist Stories of Middle Georgia. We hope you like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Facebook and become a friend of the Artist Stories of Middle Georgia Facebook page. But thanks again, Natalie, for being on the podcast. And thanks everybody. We'll catch you guys in the next episode. Take care, everybody. Bye now.
Bye.
Hey folks, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Artist Stories of Middle Georgia. Today's episode is brought to you by Cornerstone Academy of Art and Design, located in Macon at 1305 Hardeman Avenue, Suite 200. If you are interested in taking lessons to become an artist, they offer a variety of classes to help you learn and develop your artistic talent. Check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and the web. Please like and subscribe to the channel. And as always, keep painting, everyone.